Alright, so when I took this apart, this little worm gear fell out. And that goes in on the bottom underneath. Under here goes in. So I'll get this apart and I'll show you how that goes back in. It's a Ford 6 CD changer out of a 02 Explorer. So I went ahead and took just the CD changer mechanism off of the unit. There's a couple Phillips head screws, one here, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one on the back here to take the top cover off. There might be a few other little ones. And to flip it up like this, gotta unplug this wire here. This goes right up to the faceplate, and this ribbon cable, you can take this off, but I'm going to try and avoid taking it off. Now that worm gear goes right down in there. It presses onto that shaft, and what happens over time, it loosens up and you know, falls off. So what I'm going to do is put it back in there. I'm going to put a little bit of super glue or maybe JB Weld or something to hold it in place. And I'll show you this worm gear. It has on the tip of it, kind of hard to see. Let me focus. You can see there's little notches. They go face up, and you can get a spanner head in there to thread it down. And you got to use a little strength because remember, it's a press fit. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll show you how I do that. The closest size to fitting, closest size spanner I have to fitting is a, let me see, right there, number 8. Number 8 right there. The size smaller is too small, size large is too large. So this you can get in there, it should work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up just a little bit of JB Weld and coat the inside diameter of this worm gear and put a little bit on that shaft without making a mess. Maybe I'll just keep it to putting a coat on the inside of this, and then once I have it completely seated, I'll put a dab on the top so it doesn't come loose, and I'll thread it in there. And we'll see what happens. So, well, I put JB Weld in there using this paper clip, and then I packed it in with my finger. Just packed it in there, just like you were gonna pack a bearing, I guess. And I wasn't able to insert it using the spanner, just because it was too big. Just too big and too clumsy, so I used these needle nose, and that worked. I just threaded in there little by little. It went in pretty smooth, so that's good. Can't really focus. I put a little dab on top, so it seems to be in there. I'll put it all together and let it dry for a few hours, and I'll see what happens. Little wire I got plugged right back into goes into the face of the unit. It was a little bit of a challenge to get in there, but I used these needle nose again, and have the cover right here. I'll show you the screws for this cover. The rest should be pretty easy. The screws I hold the cover on, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 in the back there, 5, 6. These are small Phillips head screws. And then there's these other ones that mount that changer to the housing itself. I'll show you those. Now the changer just sits in the whole unit, really. It's these tabs have to line up to secure it, help secure it, I guess, or position it. And it's held in by these 4 Torx. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's pretty easy. We'll get this together and see what happens.